Welcome back, everyone, to R2Kast number 65. Last week, we had a chat with a lady in New Zealand. Next week, we are in California speaking to someone about wine, an organic winery. So that'll be interesting. Today, I'm very much closer to home. I couldn't say exactly, but I would guess I am less than 50 miles from the two ladies we have on talking today. I had a bit of an embarrassing original asking these lovely ladies on the podcast because they are quite famous, which we'll get into. They're sort of laughing off camera at the minute and shaking their heads, which you guys probably can't see. But I am not, as I've just told them, a massive TV watcher, a massive sort of seeing of many things around, to be honest. So I did have to go up to their stand at Dumfries Show and ask one of the people you're about to meet basically which one they were. Because I knew it was two ladies with the same surname, and I wanted to have them on the podcast because I follow on social media. But yes, so that was a bit embarrassing. So I'm going to introduce you to Tracey and Aylett Roan. Ladies, would you like to say hello?
Evening. Hiya.
Before we get on into another excellent episode of the R2Kast, I would just like to thank the sponsor for the show today, The Scottish Farmer, a weekly magazine highlighting everything you need to know regarding the Scottish agricultural industry, whether it's breaking news, events happening in the sector, market reports, classified ads, or just wholesome stories happening in the industry. The Scottish Farmer's got it for you.
So as you can see, quite the fancy background, which we'll get into, I'm sure, as we go. But those of you listening, I'm sure you're bored of me trying to give some kind of rubbish introduction when in actual fact you can just meet the people that we're here to talk to. So guys, could you tell us a bit of background about yourself? Maybe even talk about the farm. Why are Tracey and Aylett Rowan always sort of, well, certainly in my head, they sort of come as a pair in some ways, as much as you two probably completely disagree with that.
Where do we go?
Where do we start? How far back do we go?
It's a legal requirement. I'm not allowed out on my own, so that's why.
Right, okay, yes.
So, yeah, it's safer.
Yeah.
Probably, probably. I think if you want to go back, probably better starting when Rowan's Dairy started. And I think it was just me and Aylett were kind of always in the forefront because it wasn't really suitable, Stephen and Stuart being out in the public. Not with, I mean that in the nicest way, but just with dealing with the public, it was maybe more me and Aylett were comfortable with it. So that's probably why we were out about a wee bit more, and then it just kind of snowballed from that, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that maybe best way of explaining it? Yep.
Yeah, brilliant. So who is Stephen and Stuart then?
Stuart is the brains behind Rowan's Dairy. That's your husband.
Yes, loose term.
I mean, the brains, not the
husband.
And Stephen's my other half. So they're brothers.
You're not bigging him up very much there, Tracey. That was.
He's just a cow collector. He just loves cows.
Yeah, it's a very important part of a dairy farm. It's quite useful. How long have Roans been at Spartan Barrack, the name of the farm, isn't it? How long has that been for?
18.
We should know this. We should know this, shouldn't we?
Oh, shit.
6 generations.
Yeah.
Or we're into 7.
6 generations, yeah.
6 generations.
6 generations. Yes, it's 1896, 98, something. Yes, around there.
Right. Okay. Is it?
Confirm, talk amongst yourselves.
No, here, honestly, if it's 1897, 1896, it's not the end of the world. No, here, I think a lot of people come on here and they're like, "Oh, I'll talk about myself." Nobody really knows when they got their farm, like especially
quite a while ago. That's for sure. Before we were born, thankful.
I was going to say, I assume he's went around. It's been
looking good for our age,
for once.
It's all that milk we must drink.
It's funny you say that. Last June, I took, along with other lecturers, a bunch of students to Northern Ireland, and we went to this cider farm, apple orchard with a sort of cider processing unit. And the guy was a proper salesman. And you said you're looking well for your age there. What he said was he was trying to sell some apple cider vinegar to us, and he goes, "Sure, now apple cider vinegar now, it sorts everything. Sure, it gives you a few more years. Now I'm sitting here and I'm 108, and then thinking, well, maybe it's the Roan's milk that's fantastic for the lack of aging. Is it a Holstein herd?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And pedigree Holsteins, right? Okay. And we don't need to get into numbers or anything like that, but are we talking quite a sizable herd or a smaller herd?
No, we have the 2 dairy farms. So Banbarrick's the home of Rowan's Dairy, and then where me and Stephen are and my 2 kids, we're 3 miles down the road at Borland.
Right.
So probably we're relatively small dairy farms compared to many in Dumfries and Galloway. Banbarrick, you're
120 head.
And then we're 220 down here at Borland. So typical small dairy family-run farm.
It's quite crazy that, isn't it? I mean, roughly about 350 between the 2 bits. That's considered small now. It's not long ago that was considered pretty sizable, and not long ago either, since that was referred to as big. So it's but that's sort of where Roans comes in as the business, doesn't it? Diversification is going to be a big part of who knows what Brexit means or what is next. So that's where Rowan's Dairy come in. Could you tell us what Rowan's Dairy is? How long that's been going for?
We've just had our 7th birthday.
Yeah.
Yes. So we don't process on site, we process off site our milk from the farm, and we process that into milk and cream and deliver it to doorsteps within Dumfries and Galloway. We buy in locally, we try to do locally, but it's not always possible. Other complementary products that land on the doorstep for customers, which sort of helps them to try to stop them getting out and about. And some customers can't get out and about.
Yes.
So we deliver to them, and we run 6 nights a week. We've got 8 vans on the road, and it's utter chaos all the time.
Oh, brilliant. Love
It's
it.
just, it's never calm, never smooth running. It's just utter chaos the whole time.
You say that, but I feel like both of you give off the very much not chaotic vibe. Now, maybe you just hide it fantastically, but
years of practice. Swans, that's why.
Yeah.
It is. It's swans.
So
that's what we are.
graceful.
the battle
Ugly duckling. Well, I'll speak for myself. Ugly duckling through school, and then turned into the swan and just paddling for dear life now.
I think, when you look back at some of the antics, like things we've had to do with milk deliveries and the udder bar and stuff, and if we look like we're doing a great job, that's fine. That's fine, because nobody needs to know what's going on in the background.
The meltdowns and locking yourself in the toilet to cry and finding somewhere quiet so you can go and scream and nobody hears you. Yeah, you hide all that. You just put it away and you get on.
It's part of starting a business though as well, isn't it? I mean, it's not just perfection.
You're better staying employed. Don't go self-employed. Don't start a business.
Job security is so much easier. Actually, one thing I meant to ask, I forgot to ask, was you mentioned kids. Certainly, Tracey, you did. I don't know if you got kids. Are these guys interested in the farm as well?
Yeah, my son Andrew, he was 13 going on 30, is just keen. Yeah, he doesn't want to go to school. He just wants to farm. He's picked up the bug. He knows the cows. He's just really wired to it, clued up. A great asset to us. During COVID, it was so nice to actually have them at home. I actually love the summer holidays because they're here and they're a great help. I've got a daughter, Lucy, who's 11. Not so keen, not so keen. Wants to live in the town. We're going through that phase. Yeah. She likes football, wants to go to the park. So she's not so keen, but she'll help if she has to. But yeah, no, they're a big help to us.
Yeah, so I've got 2 boys. Fraser, who's 13, eats, sleeps, breathes the farm, wakes up fully dressed, raring to go, very sporty. Is just desperate to get out of school, get home, get things sorted out at home. That's he rolls his eyes continuously at me because I'm just like, where are you talking about? He just rolls his eyes. It's typical. And then Fergus, who's the eldest, who's coming on 16 now. He's a trooper. There's some strength in him. He works before school, he works after school. and he'll just turn his hand to anything. He's a huge support to my husband and on the farm. And it's actually, when they're not in school, it's a dream. And it's actually almost worse when they are at school, things like that, because they just get on with it. They just, everything, they just look after themselves so well, and life is just so easy going with them. They're an absolute dream for that.
It has got easier though, hasn't it, as they've got older? Definitely. I think back to the primary school days, it was like I always kind of feel like they've had to grow up quite quick on farming life. They have to kind of adapt. Like, we didn't adapt to them, they adapted to our lifestyle, and it was quite tough when they were younger, because you kind of had to be there, whereas now they are doing jobs that you used to have to do, like standing gateways or feed calves, that they can pick up jobs that you would have to do. And it's getting easier as they get older now.
Fraser made his own tea tonight before he went out to football. That wasn't in time, and he needed fed, so he made himself a bacon sandwich, and he was quite happy when he was away out.
It's quite advanced for a teenager, that. It's pretty good going.
It's sink or swim in our household. If you're hungry, feed yourself, or you're going to go hungry.
Yeah, we had a thing at the dinner table, was SOS, which was stretch or starve. You've got to fight for yourself, and no, definitely. We mentioned just before we started recording, I'd asked both of you if the trophies and different plaques and such like in the background were either of your own doing, and you both very quickly said no. There is some showers in the family though. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's Stephen's really into showing. He's really into his pedigree Holsteins. He's just really enjoys it. It's his hobby. He's very much, the pedigree of the Holsteins, really enjoyed. He went away to Canada when he was in college to go and work on a pedigree Holstein herd. So he really got into the showing. So a lot of the stuff behind us is just local competitions, the Holstein Club. He just seems to enter it. And then Andrew, my son, really got into the showing as well, and always kind of do Stuart trained him for his show, did our show. Went to Agri-Scot 1 year. That was we won. We got the champion cow at the South West Scotland Dairy Show, which is an evening show in Castle Douglas, which is actually this month. And we won that, so you qualified to go to Agri-Scot, which was amazing. He's just really into it, and I just wash the cows. I'm behind the scenes with the hairdryer and washing them with Fairy Liquid. I do enjoy it, but I've not got an arse made for white jeans, so I don't go in the show ring. I've decided I'm just not for that, so I'm happy in the background.
That was my issue. I didn't have an arse for white jeans either.
It's the most impractical colour to be wearing for showing. I just don't get it.
It's terrible. And every time someone wears white trousers, you're like, how long have they got? 4 minutes? Like, something always goes wrong. Whether it's something clear, like a bit of shit or whatever, or even red wine or something, there's always something goes wrong with white trousers, always. That South of Scotland Dairy Show, I always get the name wrong. That's the 26th of this month, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be 2 days before this has came out. It'll have just passed. We're filming this obviously a few days before. Agri-Scot's a great day. I've always quite enjoyed Agri-Scot. Will you be there this year? Maybe not showing, but
no, not showing. I'll be there in some way, either with any of you with that hat on, or maybe just there for the day. But no, I'll certainly be up there.
No, it's a good day, and it was one we quite always enjoyed as students as well. I wasn't from Derry at all, and not at all in the slightest, and sort of just to see all that side of things was really good. We'll probably have students up there. This year again, 16th of November, I think it is. So I sort of jumped away from Rowan's Dairy. I kind of want to jump back into Rowan's Dairy. 7 years ago now, I think Tracey, you said it was Stuart's idea. Is that right? Have I got that correct? Where did the idea come from? What did that stem from?
Oh, he's been, what's the term?
Beavering away.
Beavering away. I love it. It basically been fermenting with him for years and years and years, and then it suddenly came out, and I said, no way, we're not doing this. This is ridiculous. And then he was like, oh, come on. So then we kind of like tentatively kind of looked at it and looked at a milk label, and just it didn't work. It didn't fit. Nothing felt right about it. So it kind of got put away again. And then decided, right, we're going to bring it out again. And I still was like, no, I'm not doing this. It's just going to be the biggest load of hard work. It's just going to be not the right thing to do. So it turns out I was actually right. It is the biggest load of hard work. But Tracey then was like, life was changing a wee bit and she came on board. So it was like, well, if there's a bit more support, well, Stuart comes up with the ideas, but actually putting them into fruition is a bit different. So yeah, and that's kind of how that came about. And then it went from sitting around the kitchen table as having an idea to holy crap, we've launched, and that's it. There's no stopping it.
26th of September at Colvin Village Hall, where we launched. We took a cow down to the village hall. It was like a farmer's market, wasn't it?
Yep.
Did we have about 30 bottles or something?
Oh, it was just a little, we'd got the friends, old transit, put a couple of
I think I phoned ITV and they came, and the Galway News came, and then
printed
it
off
just
some
went,
labels, stuck it on it.
Yep, that was it.
And that was, so that, right, 30 bottles, obviously quite small at the start. How quick did that build up to being what I assume is more than 30 bottles?
It took a while. We started this with trade, wasn't it? I think Stuart thought we'll just sell to trade.
Because we thought that would be the easiest sort of way forwards and put it out there so everybody could get it. It was like doing a doorstep was never a discussion point.
Right.
And then we just did it ourselves. And then it was at Christmas. Basically, I fell off the ladder putting up Christmas decorations outside the house and broke my wrist and elbow, which meant I couldn't drive the van any longer. So we had to get a member of staff. And then that's when it kind of came. So he took over the delivering of it, which meant we thought, well, what are we doing here now? Because maybe it doesn't quite pay somebody's wage, whereas we work for free. And it was like, well, what happens about this doorstep? And it was, we put out across our own personal Facebook pages to friends. It's like, if we were going to do this in the area, would anybody be interested? And well, let's just say the new year started with doorstep deliveries.
Right, okay, so they were interested.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
it just took off, didn't it? Yeah,
it was very popular from that. And then it grew on and on, but basically the only way the business is profitable is by having a certain amount of milk going out and being processed.
Yeah.
And we struggled for a year, although we were really busy, we never quite ever got to that point. And it was and it's always like, well, we need to really review how we're going to move forwards, because we employ all these members of staff, we have all this, but we're actually not getting anything back. And it's like, is this something we should be doing with that? And then COVID hit. And we were already set up, much to people's shock. And like, oh, did you just get started for this? It was like, no, I've been here for years.
COVID for a lot of folk was bad, but I assume for you guys it was brilliant.
We were like the fifth emergency service.
Yep.
Our phones never stopped. I think we were in the office 24/7. Like, people were ringing us at 10 o'clock at night. It was like desperation. It was like, we're not going to run out of milk. Like, we've got milk, it's okay, we can deliver to you.
It's just, how do we do that? And just getting another vehicle, because it wasn't the time where you could just buy another van or employ another member of staff. So yeah, there was some logistics. We were running out of
refrigeration space. We couldn't keep
we had
up
to
with
hire in
yogurts.
a separate trailer, refrigerated trailer, just to put yogurts in, because that's what people were literally ordering, because they come in trays of 12 where you can have them individually. People were ordering trays and trays of this several times a week. And the amount of it was like, what were they doing with all this stuff? It was out of control, basically. And that's when you notice when everything gets back to normal, because unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, the pandemic wasn't long enough for habits to kick in. So as soon as the supermarket and all this kind of thing all frees up, everybody just goes back, because everything is in life is a habit. Everything you do is a habit. So, and everybody just resorted back to that, which is fair enough from that side of it. And then you just notice everything then changing from our end, and the amount of yogurts, just the sheer quantity of what people order changes.
What was your strategy or your process? What did you do when that started to slow down? You started to see folk go back to the supermarket, or did you not slow down? And maybe you didn't.
No, we kind of did, and you do see it, but for processing, you have to watch. Basically, what I had a fancy job title that I gave myself, something to do with looking at like was it futures fixtures, basically, because every day to every second day I have to sit and analyze how much milk we're going to put out for the next 2 days. So how much are we keeping back to be able to process, or what are we ordering in to make sure that we're not running out. So you learn to see what the numbers do on the days of the week, and then so that's basically, and most of the time you get it right, and there's always the odd time where you really stuff it up and you end up with either a lot, or you have to basically phone your customers and say, sorry, I've stuffed up, I've not got enough to send for you this week.
Or you're having milk for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, mum and dad used to have like a farm shop, and I would get quite often used to having eggs for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and for starter, main course and pudding. It was integrated into everything. You talked about sort of trying to work out how much you kept back there, Aylett. What sort of percentage of the milk produced is being used for Roan's dairy as opposed to being sold wholesale?
We keep back probably about 3/4 of what we do in a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
For that, but we don't process all that ourselves. We sell that on as well to where we process the processing plant. They, for the sheer amount that they have, they buy in milk as well. So we sell to them to stop them from buying in from other people they buy from us. So that's quite good. So we sell to them, and then we obviously still have our own milk contract, because I'm not cutting that off, because you never know what's going to happen, and trying to get
for sure.
a contract. So we're very lucky with the ones that we're with, and they're very understanding. They know exactly what's happening, and it works really well for us.
That percentage was so much higher than I was expecting. I was expecting like low single figures, genuinely.
Right. No, we only get it's only once a week that milk goes to our milk contract processor. So yeah.
Right. Excellent. And Rowan's Dairy is more than just deliveries. You are at shows and such like. Could you tell us about what? I assume that was a big decision to go to shows with.
With the Udder Bar.
That's not a big decision at all.
No, the Udder Bar was just. I always smile when we talk about the Udder Bar, because as much as it's hard work during the summer and you're never at home, it is actually awesome. Like, it just is so cool, because it's just progressed. It basically stems from, we had an open day, didn't we? We had an open farm day where we thought we'd have about 30 or 40 people, but we actually probably had about, three? Was it about 3?
It was the queue. People.
We just got swamped, right? And you had the idea, we had a gazebo and we were going to do some food, and you bought some blenders, and we were going to do milkshakes with ice cream, wasn't it? And milk. Yep. And then you burnt out about 4 blenders.
All the blenders got burnt out. So I took them back and said that they weren't fit for the job, because they basically got returned within 2 days of me buying them anyway. And I got my money back. I was like, note to self, won't be buying that kind of day.
So we kind of thought, milkshakes, like, what can we do? Because like, what else can you make with milk? So you were saying, milkshakes. And we're like, okay, so we got, I think, did we buy a gazebo? I think we borrowed one for your mum.
I think my mum gave us one.
Yeah, gazebo. So we borrowed a gazebo and just kind of like thought we'll create a milkshake bar. And then did we go out? We went away to Stranraer Show, of all places, our first gig. So we took the old milk van and went to Stranraer Show, and then we nearly blew away into the sea, whatever sea it is, Irish Sea or North Sea, whatever. It was really windy, and just thought, what the hell are we doing? Then we thought, we'll give it another go, because we'll give everything a go, and if it doesn't work out, So we went to another show, and then we just went to another show, and then we went to another show, and then we got invited to another show, and then we got invited to this, and we never said no. So then we found out we had this diary booked up of all these events, and then we got to the point where like this gazebo, like folding everything up, putting in the van, was just getting a bit much.
We had to have a new gazebo though.
Oh yeah,
we had to upgrade the gazebo to make it slightly more.
Do you remember we did Electric Fields? Oh, do you remember the big music festival at Durand?
Yeah.
We even went there to Electric Fields, and that was a big gig for like.
While delivering milk at night, so
Yeah,
there was no
that's
sleep.
right.
We delivered milk at night, drove through the night delivering milk, then back at Electric Fields while my husband was in hospital because he had chopped his big toe off because he stuck it in the hydraulic ram of the chopper.
It was all
That's a place I hear you're not supposed to put your toes, but
No. So
you sound like quite an injury-prone family, Aylett, in particular your side, Aylett.
Yeah.
Don't even ask, because I'm actually nursing one at the minute. So don't.
Yes, I know you said that.
Oh no, it's not good.
We just go from one disaster to the next, but we just carry on. So yeah, we kept doing shows, and then we bought a pony box, didn't we?
Yes.
So we got this pony box, and it was a game changer, right? But it was done on a budget. It was the basic thing.
And then we were at the Border Union show one year, and this guy was the trade stand convener for the Highland show. And he phoned up and said, oh, I've actually got a space available at Highland show. Would you want it? And I was like, oh, don't be silly. I was like, we can't come to Highland show. And he's like, no, I saw your gig at Border Union. I think you'd fit in really well. You'd really suit this. And I was like, we can't afford this. And he was like, no, it's okay. So we had this a phone deal going, oh my God, the Highland show have phoned and they want us.
It's like, yeah, right.
And we're like, right, okay, how do we make this happen? And so we sat down and thought, right, we'll have to give it a go. We have to. We'd be foolish not to, because these pitches never come up.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I remember our husbands like saying, oh, you're never going to make money at it. Like, I don't even know why you're going. It's just going to be a waste. Like, how are you going to manage it? Just the two of you. And we're like, we'll so do it. So we sat down, did some costings and thought, right. So we took this like £500 pony box up to the Highland show. We're probably the last trade stand to arrive. And like, I think we annoyed all the security guards because we went round the wrong way, and we
Aylett does.
got set up. And it was this 2019? I think it was
Yes.
the first year, 2019. And oh my God, like it just went, it was just amazing. Like it was so busy. We slightly underestimated it, but we slightly, but totally nailed it. And we're just like, oh my God, and like totally proved, came back home after like the 4 days going, right, okay, here's the money box.
Mhm.
This is what we
This
made.
works.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're like, oh my God, this is it. And then we just, kept going to local shows, and then
We outgrew the pony box.
we did out in more ways than one
Mhm.
after, so we basically bought, well, you saw the cattle trailer
Mhm.
idea, because everybody was doing pony boxes with a lot of gin boxes and all.
Yes.
So we wanted to keep it very farm orientated, so we bought a cattle trailer.
We've got an Ipar Williams cattle trailer, but we got a 7-foot high one, because the 6-foot high one is all very well, but it's actually quite claustrophobic, and I'm slightly tall and it's just too low, and it gets hot in there. So it was like, we managed to find one. So
Good decision, I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we bought it and then looked at it and sat with it, and then thought,
donkeys.
the shows are starting up again, we better actually get it converted. So it was like, I think the paint was probably still wet by the time we went to this first show.
Oh,
But
it's
The show would dry it.
doing on it. It was Fife's show on the
Oh, that's
21st of May, and then so we went up the night before, which is, we always try and go up somewhere the night before, be in before the night before, and everywhere we go, we basically stay with friends and family, because we've got an amazing network of friends and family which we always get to stay with. So you
We're
get
very,
to visit
very
people
grateful
as well.
for.
And but before we were always running late as well.
Oh.
But I mean, literally, while we were hitching on to leave, we were still doing things in it to get it ready to go. I mean, it's just fly by the seat of your pants. It's ridiculous.
But it would, the trailer we have now is basically like our wish list.
Mhm.
After years of being in the pony box, we knew what wasn't going to work or what did work. So to then like be able to like fund a trailer that is custom made to us was like, oh my God, this is like real. We're playing with the big boys now.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and dead chuffed with it.
And then this year at the Highland, we got mistaken for being in the wrong lane, because they said this is not for livestock trailers.
that's
It's like,
right.
we're not a
Oh,
livestock
really?
trailer, but we'll take it.
I assume it was
no,
quite clear to see we weren't a livestock trailer. Maybe not.
Well, yeah.
We're not going any bigger. That's it.
No.
I'm not going.
Are you sure?
Absolutely.
We could turn it into a road train and cart around. We could put a wee granny box on the back.
Oh.
Or could you not get one of those, like the sort of all-consuming horse boxes that have like the house in it as well as the horse box, and then
We might need to put our prices up just a wee bit.
yes.
Is what we're
Well, I
talking,
mean, here,
100
as
grand
busy as
or-
they are.
Yeah, it might be. Oh, we wanted an awning.
We did.
Yeah, we'll do an awning next year. That'll be our
Right.
next thing. Yeah.
The
That's just
Highland,
out the back.
yeah, for sure. The Highland is one of those things with a few folk on. I think number 59 had wee brown hens who are, well, a couple that do something similar to you guys, but not the exact same. They're more sort of based around the egg side and deliveries and whatnot. And they were at the Highland show, and everyone says, like, we've all been to Highland show a million times. We know it's busy, but everyone that takes a business is like, it is busy. Like, it's
Oh, yeah.
busy.
Oh, there's no denying it. You know you're getting the footfall, and everyone can say, oh, it wasn't that busy and all this sort of stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, it is that blooming busy. The footfall comes through the gate regardless of the weather, and you're really well supported, and it is an excellent, you can turn it. If you've got what people want, you're onto a winner.
And once you've got that stand, you mentioned, Tracey, I think it was yourself that said they're not easy to come by. Do you sort of have that locked in until you say you don't want it? Is that how that works, or no?
I'm not taking anything for granted, but
no, they can. You can be moved around because they do change. Well, anybody that goes to the Highland show knows that every so often things do move around.
Yeah,
things change, and they try and do that. So it is entirely possible that we could get shifted. But my thinking is,
you're a director, so it's not going to happen, isn't it? Because she's on the direct. She'll not.
Hmm.
Oh no! What happened?
Don't know. Did you guys get kicked? I don't know why. It's fine though. Still recording.
I will point out, I became a director after we got our pitch. That was all after we were already in. But no, regardless of that, I mean, we could get shifted around. But my theory is, if we're really nice traders and we play by what's going on and everything, and we're happy with the pitch, then fingers crossed. Because everyone says, oh, should you not move somewhere else where it might be busier? But then how do you know it's busier? It might be busier for one type of stall, but who says it's going to be busier for you? If it works for us, I'm more than happy to stay where we are. And people know where we are now as well. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's a really good point Aylett makes, so about being a good trader. Like, we've always went and just thought, you know what? There's no point kind of moaning about it. It is what it is. You just get on and make the best of what you've got, where your stand is. You know, we've always kind of, there's some things you might want to change, but you just, every show we go to, you just get on with it. And you know that it's our kind of like shop window for our business in some ways. Although it's milkshakes, we're not always selling our own milk. It's our personalities in a box, this other bar, and it's like we meet our customers and they get to meet us. And I think some of the people kind of look for us, but
they will.
Yeah, they want, you know, it's not, I know they're getting a milkshake, but it's just a milkshake, but they're kind of, we get a chat with them and it's a bit of banter and they talk about this farming life, or they talk about, you know, it's like how's things at home and blah, blah, blah.
Look at our timeline.
Yeah, you know, we've got quirky things going on.
Watch milkshakes explode and cover each other.
They've kind of followed, our customers have followed our journey. So sometimes like, it's like, oh, we'll look for the pink udder and we'll find you, and, you know, look for the pink flag. So it's a shop window.
We make any space our own. Well, we had one show that when we turned up, maybe we should have been there the night before, but the space wasn't big enough to allow us to fit in. It just didn't, there was too much going on. And they said, oh, we've only got this empty area over here where there's nothing else there. What do you think? It was like, that's fine. Parked up, rocked on. It was absolutely brilliant for us, because whatever, we will make it. We'll sort it out and we'll make it, and it'll be good.
We've met some cracking folk, like some of the other trade stands have been great, and you can meet them again the following year. And it's good. It's very time consuming. That's the only I will say. Like, you don't realise how much you've been away from home until you actually start spending time at home, and you realise like how far behind you are in your housework.
Like, you've got no clean clothes. There's nothing clean anymore.
So it's a very short window between May and basically end of August. We're out every weekend.
3 months, that's it.
It'll fly by for you.
It does actually.
It
does. Yeah.
So 2 Highland shows this year in 2019, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned staff a few times. How many staff are we talking? It'll be seasonal, I assume. But
for the Roans Dairy or for Udder Bar?
Both. Yeah, let's say both. Yeah.
Well, the Udder Bar, this is the first year that we've actually really taken on staff, basically for space, because the last time we've not had the space to be able to really do staff. So this year we've had some staff, and that just goes out throughout our networks, beer money. Basically, if you're all going to be at a show, any of the shows that we're at, certain ones, it's like beer money just to cover it. And we were still always there, basically. But if it's just us and it's really busy, you don't get to stop to nip out for a pee. You can't have anything to eat. And it's a long day when you're starting from scratch.
We're getting
to the
old
end.
now as well. We
I
need
know.
to start looking after ourselves.
I don't think that's the case.
Back the days.
So,
We're getting too old for that kind of crap.
So that just kind of depends on how big the show is, to how many staff and things like that. But at home within Rowan's Dairy, we are looking at about where we are. Well, we've just actually lost a member of staff. So we're looking at about 12 employees in total across the board. Between drivers, office staff, etc.
Some part-time, some full? Or
yes.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Now, you are quite famous. Could you tell us about you've done a wee bit of TV then, you're shaking your head.
Infamous. It's infamous, not
infamous. Sorry, yes, you're a bit infamous. I apologise. Could you tell us about your infamy, please?
That's all your fault, because you instigated it. It's your fault.
This farming life, geez, there's a life lesson. Read your emails. Pay attention to what you replied to, basically. So, I'd intercepted. I intercepted an email looking for some businesses that had done diversification, or family businesses with diversification. I think it came from our local NFU branch, NFU Mutual branch. And I was like, oh, you've done diversification. So I just happily typed away and didn't think anything of it. And then I think another one came through looking for a bit more information. I was like, right, fine, bit more information. And then nothing. And then the girls in the office had said, oh, such and such had been on the phone, left a note on my desk. And I looked at it and thought, oh, I don't have time for anything. Just thought it was sort of like a TV interview type thing and whatever. And I was like, don't have time for that at the moment. I'll come back to it. Then another post-it note and another post-it note. And then there was one sitting on my desk and the phone goes, and I just said, oh, just put her through like this. And she said who she was. And I'm looking at the post-it going, oh, that actually says BBC. It's not like, I was like, oh, that's quite big. And then she was chatting away. And I was like, yeah. And as she was saying, I was like, I better Google what she's talking about. It's like this farming life. And I was Googled it and I was like, yeah, that's good. And things like that. I was looking at it going, oh yeah, I did watch that. It's like, holy shit. Like, okay. I was like, oh. I said, right, I need to talk to some family members because nobody knows I've done this. So I had to have a chat, and then they came down and had a chat with us, and then we needed to do a what's the thing? It's like a casting call thing where we all were in the field basically, and you said who you were. And then didn't really hear anything. And then the next thing they phoned up and said, look, we wanted to start in next week, I think it was. I think it was like a week. And it was just short. Okay. And then just went from there.
And you said you had to ask some family members, but also given Tracey's response earlier, were they receptive to it straight away?
No, we're all kind of like, well, what is this basically? And we kind of had to look into it.
Series one, hadn't we?
Yeah.
With Martin and Mel.
But it all just seemed a bit unreal. And it was just like, we need to know more information because we know from past TV things that we know what it's like with the dairy industry and how you can
definitely,
and what's going on and negativity. And we had to think about that. I mean, Rowan's Dairy actually hadn't really started by that point when it was started.
Rowan, wasn't it?
So it wasn't even on the bit when I gave diversification, it wasn't even in there.
Oh, right.
Really. So that wasn't really like the deciding thing with that.
I think we thought like, well, what are they going to film? Because like we just milk cows. Like we don't do anything different to everybody else.
No.
So we were like, I think we have to write down kind of key events and stuff we did.
They actually had to sell it to us almost in a way. We weren't just instantly like, oh yeah, this is amazing, let's just get on. I thought, no, we need to have a look at this. But no, it worked out for the best in the long run.
And what was the experience like in general? What was the time filming like?
I think there was times like looking back, you're like, oh, why did I say that? Oh, for God's sake, seriously, why on earth? But like, I think I was probably a bit naive because you have no control. You can't see it. Like you don't get to see it.
You see it at the same time as everybody else sees it.
And I think that's the worrying thing, that, you know, how you're going to be portrayed, you know, how people are going to see you. And like Aylett says, with our industry, you know, God, you can be in the firing line quite easily, like with everybody. So it was quite a worry, and you want to protect your business, don't you? But I mean, generally, overall, it was actually really positive. But
it was a good team. That was the thing, because it was the same ones just about the whole time, and they came down for a day or a couple of days at a time, depending on what we were doing. Because we had an incident at home that happened while we were filming something. It was not that you'll know because you don't watch it, but there is a part where I'm basically attacking Stuart with the cow's tail when he's trying to dry off a cow, which they focused on that rather than the drying off and what was happening, but never mind.
Of course.
A cow actually died while we were standing there. A cow actually hung herself in the yokes, like a split second. Like we were just chatting, and then we heard a commotion, turned around, and then that was it, gone. And they'd actually sort of swung the camera around at the same time, and we said at the time, well, this is what happens. Like even when you're there, these things happen. And we were happy to let it air. And then overnight, Stuart kind of thought, well, how's that going to be said, or will it really look like it? What actually happens? So he just phoned up and said, look, I'm not comfortable. I don't think this is a good idea. And they took it out. So we were from that side of it, because they themselves said they didn't want anything to shed a bad light on. They wanted a reality thing, but not anything for bad light. That's what they just wanted, this happy family type of thing going on, which was.
I hope you've kicked your feet up and got comfy and enjoying another fantastic episode of the R2Kast with another really interesting guest. I would just like to quickly take another second to plug the sponsors of the show today, the Scottish Farmer, and I would strongly advise you to go out and pick one up this week and see even more of the fantastic people that are in our industry.
No, everyone I've had on said very similar that's been on this farming life. You're sitting there ready to watch it the same as everyone else, no idea what's coming on, but all very easy to work with. And I think most of them have said like their camera folks almost became good friends. And it sounds that way. It sounds that way with you guys. Would you advise someone to say yes if they get the letter or the email?
Oh, definitely. Always have done. Yes.
And
definitely.
you know what? Go for it and really utilise your social media. I think that's somewhere we kind of fell to the wayside with.
Yeah, but it was a different time though.
Yeah, but looking back, I think those that are on it now, because people have written books.
Yeah, but
it's
a different time, and we were told we weren't allowed to talk about it to start with. Whereas that's not the case anymore. They want all the publicity. So it was a long, what was it, 2017 into 2018?
No, 2016 to 17.
Well,
the first one was 15, I think.
Right, so that is a long time ago, especially
it's funny,
at technology and social media and how things have progressed.
It's only 7 years ago, but for example, TikTok didn't exist. It was called Musical.ly then. Like it's an extremely quick 7 years, and like you said there, some people have written books and whatnot. It has moved hugely, and I think the example is Mel and Martin are that always the staple of the first year. That's who everyone always says. And looking at social media, Mel's got 10 or 11,000 followers, but you look at Emma Gray and you and whoever. They're 40 and 50, just because of how different a world it is, how quickly. So you're right, Aylett, when you're saying it's different. It's totally different. It's an insanely different world.
It's down to comparisons. Everybody gets, year after year, everybody still gets compared to somebody else. Nobody's allowed to just stand alone and just do their own thing. Do you know, we always have to compare ourselves to somebody else.
It's always funny, they always get asked, oh, you must have done well at that TV programme you're on. How are milk sales? Well, you can't add an extra penny on a litre just to be on the telly.
Yeah.
It didn't actually change it.
And you can't post your milk.
No.
You can't make up a cool box and then ship it off, shrink wrap it and send, that doesn't work. So from that side of the business, it didn't increase that, but that's not what it was about at all, because the business didn't really exist at that point. Well, another point, because you wouldn't know because you haven't seen. But I mean, you can see Stuart doing deliveries just as like the one-off kind of thing and just getting to grips with it because it was still so early on with the doorstep stuff.
I think we were doing a Christmas fair with the other bar, weren't we?
Oh yes, we did.
The Christmas lights switch on was nice.
Mm-hmm.
From looking back from a family point of view, it'll be nice when the kids are older and they can look back at this footage and say, "Oh, do you remember the time we were on telly?" Because the kids were so young.
Tiny.
Yeah, like so young. It was good. Yeah, it was good. Certainly, I would say if there's any opportunity, just go for it.
Definitely. Like everything, though. Not even just that, just anything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
If you don't know, you're going to regret it. You've got to try.
Yep.
I think, and my mum and dad will be listening to this because they listen to most of the podcasts. I'm positive they were, they were approached for the first series, but like my mum would just never, ever do something like that. I mean, she's not like, I don't know. I mean, just no. Strictly never. So I was like, Mum, please, like a 17, 18-year-old with basically no involvement in the farm, just wanted some food. So yeah, I would advise folk that are on the farm and have a story to tell to do it. And I think Lynn Castles of Lynbreck Farm, Lynn and Sandra were on it one year. Lynn really summed it up well in the podcast. She said there's so many times you were sort of like they'd just started, like you guys just started taking over this croft, and there were so many times they were being filmed and thinking everything was hectic, and it was. But when she got to look back at it, not live, but watching the video for the first time, she was like, "We look happy," and I probably don't remember feeling so happy because I was so busy being busy. Which is actually a really cool way. Maybe you look at it and think, "God, we look raging the whole time." But I thought that was quite a nice way to put it. I was going to do the embarrassing thing that I do sometimes with people like yourselves who have had what I'm about to mention, and I think I will because it seems like you can take it. When you Google you guys, there's a lot of award nominations. What different awards have you been nominated for? Maybe you can't remember.
No.
What was that?
Oh, there's a picture of Aylett bending over a rosette on her arse. It was a Wigton show, so she got really rear of the year.
Whereas we just won for best trade stand at Wigton
Yeah.
show with silverware that we had to polish and return, which was annoying.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice, but
See, there's a downside to winning silverware.
um,
What was the
all sorts of
first
stuff.
one? Did we win up the one at Dynamic Air? Was that the Rural Awards?
yes.
And then there's been
Was there not
Dumfries
one?
and Galloway
Yes, was there not
Life
D&G
Awards?
Life Awards
Yeah.
first? Then the Dynamica, I
Yes.
think that seemed to be
It's
on a
not
whole
that-
different.
There's not that many, to be
Another
fair.
D&G
I
Life.
can read the ones that I found out if you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Tell us the true or false. Might just leave them up.
Given it's your website, I hope it's true.
I would just print them off.
Oh, it could all be wrong because I think I've tried and look after the website, so it's all wrong.
Dumfries and Galloway Life Awards, the finalist in Family Business of the Year 2019, Scottish Business Awards, Dumfries and Galloway Best Customer Service Retail Business 2017, runner-up in the Rural Enterprise category at the Scottish Rural Awards 2017, Dumfries and Galloway Life Awards again, finalist in the Producer of the Year 2016, and then Dumfries and Galloway Life Awards again, special commendation in the Producer of the Year 2015. So there's quite a few there.
And
Quite a
this
lot.
all went downhill after 2016, isn't it?
They're expensive things to be part of.
You know,
though.
you've got to buy your tickets and get a
Buying
dress and all
tickets
that.
and
You've
all
got to
that.
make the effort. So it's better not winning them.
Yeah, getting the fitted clothes and everything's a nightmare. I had to wear my own. I had to make my own, choose my own wardrobe for a film shoot last week, which I think I can talk about now because this video will be out by the time. So I think it's okay. And I'm just not fashionable. Like I have about 8 t-shirts. My mum bought them all, like, and sent them to the flat. Like I just documented the whole thing. Thought I'd make a wee TikTok, and be trying to try all these clothes on. But it's tricky, especially if you're getting nominated for a million awards like you guys.
And then
I
give
had
it
one-
on TV as
Oh,
well.
that's right. We did.
But you wouldn't know that because you didn't see it.
But I did know it because someone told me. I'm sorry. I do apologise.
Oh no, it's
You're really
brilliant. This is great fodder. Thank you.
I see that, Aylett. I see her really getting a lot of length out of this one. It would seem. When I first wanted to have you guys on, there was one thing I really wanted to do, and I've had sort of duos on before, and every time I've thought, oh, this would be quite fun, but I've never done it. So what I'm going to do is I want Tracey, you to tell me about Aylett, and Aylett, you to tell me about Tracey. How would you describe one another?
Describe Aylett looking like so many words.
I don't have to have any count on words, just whatever.
Do you know, I don't know, me and Aylett are a dangerous combination because we egg each other on, right?
I could believe that, yeah.
Because we're probably quite addicted to Pinterest, and we'll like look up ideas and go, this is really good, and we have a little idea that just explodes to a big idea. And like I'll say to Aylett, like example, the other bar, or so and so said, could we go to this event? And we're like, oh, it's a bit far. We're like, oh no, we'll just go and do it. And we just do it, and then we think, oh god, we've bitten off too much. We're probably a really good combination, but a bad combination, if you know what I mean. See if you were ever going to get like flung in prison and needed bailed out, Aylett would probably be my first phone call.
Right, okay.
Get you out. She's one of those. I'm going to blow smoke up your arse actually here. if there's something needing done, it'll just get done. Do you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, you just get done. And I think, you know, recently, over the last kind of few months, we've had, you know, an incident in the family. We really have kind of pulled together, and I think you realise just how good a team you are, and how the times are tough. So yeah, she's definitely there. And if you need something done, I'd phone Aylett. Like, I probably wouldn't phone Stephen first. I'd probably phone Aylett. If there was like an incident, you'd be like, yeah, let's phone Aylett.
It turned out really nice. I thought it was starting negatively.
I'll wait till I say behind her back like this. I'm just trying to be nice because this is going to get aired. So
Off camera, we Right, tell us about Tracey. What do you think?
What have we got about Tracey? Hugely creative, definitely. Like any idea, even if I haven't, usually she'll come up with the ideas. But if I see anything, if I see a picture or see something like that, you can just ping it across. She can create that. Or finding something unbelievable. She'll find anything on the internet. It's just like
really funny.
A stalker.
Dark web, but no, just anything. If you happen to be looking for that, like how she does that is beyond me because I'm hopeless. No, it's really good, and just actually equally back at you, just there, especially like the nights you're out on milk, things like that. Your sense of direction is amazing. I would get lost in an empty box. I
think that's quite well. That's because like I can tell when you're flagging and I'm losing you, so I pick up the pace and then
alternate.
Yeah, we alternate like. You know, when we're out milk deliveries, it's like quite a long stint and we're not used to it. And like, I remember when that time we went to Wigtonshire, I swear we were in that van for 24 hours.
Oh,
trying to deliver milk.
It was 16 plus hours in the middle of nowhere. And you have to at one point think, what the heck are we doing? We're actually in choices, serious ropey area here and what we're doing. But sometimes there's not words. It just works.
I think you're saying is you just like put your big girl pants on and you just have to get it done.
You do it.
I
can moan about it, but the job gets done.
Oh God,
and it's fine. But just go.
I'm just trying to gauge with the age of the kids and that sort of thing. How long have you two known each other?
Just since you met.
Just since I appeared on the scene.
Yeah.
She's been around for ages.
Oh, have you? Right, okay.
I was first and then Aylett came along. But then we didn't really have much. It was probably more since Rowan's dairy because I was working off the farm and you were at home. So we never really had much to do with each other. And it wasn't until we started working on Rowan's dairy that, you know, when you get flung into a van with somebody for like 16 hours, you get to know each other quite well. So like you just kind of realise, all right. And then just with the milkshake bar being away and stuff. And then, you just start to, I think we're alike, but we're not alike. We've probably got very similar interests and likes, but yet we're very different in some ways. Like we've got different social circles.
Yep. I'd like to think I'm not very needy. So it's like we do what we need to do, but then when we say we don't socialise, it's just because, well, actually I don't socialise, but that's beside the point.
You're too drunk? You just get too drunk?
NFTV thing.
Oh God, right, we'll not go there.
Don't take us ever to that. We're just a bad influence on each other. But it works. Some things you shouldn't give the secret recipe away.
Yeah.
Yes, true. That's a good point. Yeah. And sometimes you don't really know it. It's just there, and you don't really know.
The Mary Berry recipe with a soggy bottom.
I unfortunately am not a Bake Off watcher either, so I'm really losing the TV
but it's
thing.
Mary. You don't need to watch the Bake Off. It's Mary Berry.
Is that not what she's from?
No. Oh no. She's no. Ask your mum.
I know my mum's just as much a TV watcher as me. So
but like Mary Berry's been around for like how old is she? She's in her 80s or something. She's been on TV since the start of time.
Like she's just always done bake things, is she not? That's what she's famous for.
She cooks.
Oh, I see.
Well. She even has no, we're not going into this. This is embarrassing. Be embarrassed, Wallace.
I feel like I've heavily let you down here, Aylett. I'm feeling a huge weight of burden here. We mentioned the NFU there. We're not going to have to get into the meeting you were talking about because that sounds like something that probably isn't very R2Kast friendly. However, the NFU is a big part of your life, Tracey. Could you tell us a bit about that?
I work. I'm basically 3 days a week. I wear a different hat. I'm the regional manager for Deuces Galloway with NFU. I just started about 4 months ago. I've always been quite adamant. I think people kind of look and say, "Oh, what do you need to work off the farm when there's plenty of work at home?" Which there is. There totally is. I get that, but I've always been quite. I've always had a career off the farm. I was always adamant I'd always have that. As much as I like being on the farm, I'm not one for doing it 7 days a week. I find it just isn't me. So I have my 3 days where I can be Tracey and with NFUS, and yeah, it's really good, really enjoy it. I feel I can relate to the members. It's all right. I'm still early doors into it. Just been there 4 months. Prior to that, I was with Scottish Lands and Estates as regional support officer. And then way back, I was a housing officer with Lowburn Housing for a good 10 years, where you see the best and the worst of society. So yeah, I've always kind of worked off the farm, but always just kind of been here as well at the farm. So colostrum manager during the day, and then NFU manager 3 days a week.
Is that the same position as Christine Cuthbertson? Also different.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've now had 2 NFUS regional managers and the NFUS president on the R2Kast. We're getting everyone behind us. It's been one of those chats that I feel like we've arranged 8 times? Nah, 4 times.
Mainly my fault.
That's your fault.
Yeah, pretty much.
No. It was definitely me one time, and then I think we all forgot the next time, and then last time it was definitely your fault last time, Aylett, but we don't need to get into
definitely. Blame the drugs.
The description Tracey gave me, and this was. You weren't there to defend yourself. I don't know how true this was. She said you.
It's probably all true.
I think I'm saying this right. Maybe I'm wrong. You couldn't reach to turn the webcam on because of your crutches. That was what I picked up.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that was pretty okay then.
Webcam was down the back of the computer, and I couldn't get onto the ground to be able to even start to get it back up again or anything. And it was just like, this is so much. I was just like, no, it's not happening.
I swear we should write a book of all the stuff that's done, because something's just popped to our mind. Do you mind the time when we're coming back from the Border Union Shore and we pulled over in the lay-by because there was a noise in the trailer and you bent over and totally ripped the stars out your trousers?
I will correct this. I didn't bend over. I lunged, darling. And I heard a big rip and just ripped the arse out of my jeans.
There's never a dull moment on every trip or anything we plan to do. There is just never a dull moment. From the time we first went with the milkshake bar, the door swung open along the road and the kitchen roll came flying out. Or
driving down the M74, where's the A74? With no fuel. We had no fuel.
Freewheeling it into the garage.
The light had been on for ages. How we even managed to even make it into a fuel station, I have no idea.
And then going up to Blair Horse Trials, the jockey wheel broke.
Yes, we got that sorted. It's just there's always continuous
something.
But we always get ourselves out.
Do you know, you said that when I can't remember why it was we couldn't film the last time, but you said it's just a nightmare after a nightmare or something like that, Aylett. Yeah. And I was like, is she just really moody or is she just not wanting to do this? But no, it seems like that's the case. It always happens.
Be fair to a point, the mood is probably about quite right, because I had hit the whole of the summer with everything that had gone on, and there was other things going on, and I just got to the point where basically I hadn't washed in 3 days. I felt like crap, and just the idea of sitting down and talking about anything, let alone trying to be cheery about something, it just wasn't happening. I get that. My mindset, it was really bad. It was a mental health day. That's what it was. But it was just a short, and it was just like, I've got to the stage now where I can't control that so much, but I know when to turn up and when not to turn up, and that just couldn't do it.
Mental health days are very important as well. It's funny you mentioned probably mental health. It's funny. This is going to be something else I'm talking about. The ripped jeans. I used to be a cook, and there's a photo on Facebook somewhere if you delve deep enough. I vividly remember I was picking up a box of tomatoes at the bottom of the fridge, and I just squatted down and heard this noise and thought, what's that? What has just happened? At the same time as this sort of something feels loose. And then
There's a bit airy in there, was it?
It was not a good look, and I did have to go change because I think I'd have lost my job in the kitchen with that. But yeah, it's always quite funny when that heavily embarrassing, but quite funny. Yeah, it's been great to chat. It's been a really good story. You guys have got a good story. There's a lot from both of you, and I'm sure we could sit down for longer, just having a chat. But there's two questions we ask everyone at the end of each R2Kast. So I guess it's kind of be like 4 answers we're going to have. We ask everyone, first off, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And secondly, if you had any tips for folk coming into farming, it'd be quite cool if you could talk about sort of maybe even diversification as well. What would they be?
Don't do it.
Yeah.
What was the first one? Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Oh, do you know, I hope we have a better work-life balance, because I feel just now...
No, it's not better, just a work-life.
I know, yeah.
Have one.
There is no balance. The scales are firmly like loaded down.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm going to aim big. I want to be like Scotland's strongest woman. That's my aim in 5 years' time.
I meant to mention
You're going to be
this.
there in like a
No,
year
it'll
and a
take
half.
5 years, because I
tops.
only train once a week.
God, no, she'll be there well before 5 years.
Do you know,
Jeez,
I like to set a challenge to myself, and I want to be at least, I want to have competed. There you go. I could be the
But
oldest.
You'll be there long before that, and I will be in the corner with the towel around my neck and the spit bucket and the chalk on the hands, cheering on with the giant banner.
That's
because
my aim.
that is more plausible than 5
Nothing
years.
to do with farming.
No, but you,
2
like,
years.
we can maybe take a little caveat here. Really strongly trying to remember the Scotland's strongest woman. I'm sure it's Baxter. Laura.
Yeah, it's Laura Baxter, yeah.
But see, I've followed your sort of progress for the last week or so. I feel like it's not really been that long, but I've noticed you're quite insanely strong.
No, who knew all those years of flinging tyres on a silage pit would result in this? Do you know?
So if you started doing this, maybe not recently, but Tracey, but it's not something you've done forever, no?
No. Well, you started going to the gym, and I was like, you're not having Aylett getting all toned and buff. I'm not having that. So I thought I'll start the gym just to get, because I was getting a bit chubby, and then the guy said, oh, when you're over 40, you should, like, women should start doing lifting weights is a good way to tone up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think I just really liked to deadlift. He was like, oh, we kept putting the weights on. He's like, oh, you're quite strong. And I was like, well, it's not quite light. Just keep going, pile them on. And he's like, oh, all right. And then I just really got into it. I was like, oh, because you get a total adrenaline rush from it. You're like, oh God, I'm actually good at something.
Addictive.
Yeah, because I hate PE at school. I was like the fat kid. I hated it at school, the shit trainers and stuff. So, like, to do something like physically and like put yourself out your comfort zone in a gym where you have to get like sweaty in front of somebody, I just really enjoyed it. And then I just kind of set myself a target, like I wanted to get to 140 by the time I was 40, but I kind of missed that. And then I bought myself some straps, like get proper into it, like proper pro. And I was like, check this out. I should have had these months ago. And so I'm quite keen to like just see how far I can go with it.
You've had 50, haven't you, deadlift?
I've done 150, yeah.
So Laura Baxter, she's coming for you.
What? Just out of interest,
no, is he at the? I went to Scotland's Strongest Man up in Glasgow, and I watched Izzy. Is it Izzy Tate? And she lifted, was it 280 or something? Do you know?
That's scary.
Yeah,
I'm not aiming for that, because like that's just insane. But
that must have been strapped, because I'm sure the raw. I follow this quite a bit. I'm sure the raw is about 240 UK record. I think. Yeah. I'm here. I only started. I'd never deadlifted until June ever.
See, I've been following you. I've noticed you've been doing a bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
Mother-in-law thinks I'm going to hurt my back. I was like, I'm more likely to hurt my back bending over feeding calves than I am actually doing deadlifting.
I don't. Yes, no.
So
no, totally.
Well, you're deadlifting correct, aren't you? You stand bent legs straight back. So but you never do it when you're working with calves and like just like humping things around. Yeah, and that's always some things. No,
so we totally went off subject, but that's my where I like to see myself.
No, that's a brilliant one. It's a great one.
Not
Maybe
far
we'll
off,
have
mate.
maybe we'll have you on 5 years' time, Scotland's strongest woman. You know, you never know.
No, you'll not watch me though, so don't
No, I know.
bother.
Oh, that is what I watch. That is exactly like the thing I watch is strongman and strong women. It's all I watch, and have done since I was like 12, even though I was like as round as the weights they were using. Yeah. Aylett, 5 years' time.
5 years' time, I want to be lying on a beach in the Maldives if the Maldives still exists in 5 years' time. Yep.
Excellent.
And I want a cabana boy with pina coladas on tap. Thank you very much.
Pina coladas, my choice would be porn star martinis every time.
Oh no, I tried that when I was in New York the other. Nah, no,
Oh,
no.
listen.
Pina colada, cabana boy, Maldives. That's me. Thank you very much. Don't want much.
Just no one else there, just yourself.
Oh no, on my own.
With the phones
Okay.
off.
Oh, no phone.
No phone.
No phone. That'll have been
No.
vaporized.
To be honest, the family thing was more the thing I was worried about than the.
All right.
the
Oh
phone.
no, well, my husband will be there somewhere, but
Somewhere, yes.
No, but no, he'll be halfway down the beach on his own. He'll have a cabana girl or whatever if they exist. I don't know, but yeah, I just want to be
Switch
switch off, left alone. That was always kind of my. Everyone says to have a 5-year business plan. My 5-year business plan was after 5 years to be somebody to come in, buy the business, and I could just disappear off to the Maldives. So I'm running a bit behind.
You never know.
Else is maybe the limit just now.
I would like to stress that I don't like the beach, I don't like salt water, and I burn under a light bulb. So the whole I'm not entirely sure, but I like the idea of it.
Strange goals, it must be said. Strange goals.
It's funny how our goals are not related to the farm at all. That's
No.
quite worrying, isn't
I
it?
just want life to
I was just going to say, I think this is the 65th episode, but it's the 68th I've filmed. And I think you're the first people that have said, not something similar to what we're doing. So yeah, it's good. Yeah.
We're just keeping it real.
Yeah, totally.
No,
There's no BS here.
And if you'd sort of any advice or tips or that sort of thing for folk getting into, well, let's even talk about maybe farmers trying to move into diversification. What would they be? You said earlier don't, but I'm guessing that's not. Maybe it is that tip.
See, I'm a bit kind of sit on two fences. Well, farmers go into for diversification. Don't go into it just because everybody else is doing it. Because what your neighbour's doing, for instance, might not work on your premises or whatever. You have to really look at what your business can offer. And even if you are on the side of a main road and you're a perfect location for a farm shop or something similar to that, a front-facing type thing, if you really don't like people and can't communicate and you're a grumpy old git, etc., then that is not going to work, is it? So you kind of have to look at that. So just because everybody's diversifying and this is the way forward, it might not necessarily work for you. And you need to look more closely at that rather than what else is going on from that.
I think that's a great point. Really, really real, actually. Yeah.
And then the same with farming, though, is like, so instead of a farmer getting into diversification, so if you're not in farming and you want to be in farming, because I've been there, if you want it, just keep going and keep pursuing it. Don't listen to everybody that says, oh, you can't, especially if you're female, not to wave the whole female and
no, I think it's true. Yeah,
but exactly. you really got to stand your ground. And yes, you still need to prove yourself, but it's like men have to do it too. You have to prove your worth, and it is worth doing. This industry is, despite what you see in cost and all this sort of thing, to actually work within this industry is an amazing thing, because you're basically feeding the world with this and what you're doing and looking after the countryside from that thing. Just got to keep going. The college courses are there for you. So if you're in school and coming through, or even you want to go back, the infrastructure's there. Use it. And the apprenticeship schemes that are coming through and stuff like that, it is there with research and things like that. So it's definitely just get on and do it.
I hear there's some excellent agricultural courses out there, but that's just what I hear in the grapevine.
Apparently the Barony's all booked up for next year, so I was hearing.
It is insanely high numbers coming into us, yeah.
Yep. So I know a couple of kids that have gone on to the apprenticeship scheme because they can't get in. Because it's
for like starting last month type thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's good news. That was really good to hear.
That's really positive.
Yeah, so, well, if you want some figures on it, HNC we're sitting at 33, HNC we're sitting at 30, HND is always a bit less, and it's sort of a bit of a changeover at the minute, but we're sitting about 12, which that's pretty good going. And then we're now doing third and fourth year of the honours degree as well, which we're sitting above, I think 5 and 6 respectively. So, yes, and then the 2 levels of apprenticeship. So there's a lot of that. And if anyone's listening and they are considering going to SRUC, this is not my pod. I'm not in the podcast here, but we've got onto it. Get booked in now. I mean that we had an open day yesterday, which is just at the start of October. Yeah, just at the start of October, and we already had 10 folk there, and that's 50 weeks before we start. Yeah, so it's
well, we're both SRUC alumni. We're
Best
both
4
done
years
that.
of my life at
Mhm.
Auckland Crew.
Yep.
That's how I met my husband.
was it. And were you up in Crewe as well, Aylett, or are you?
No, I was Oakridge.
Oak
Well,
Ridge,
I was actually Borders College and then Oakridge, and there was another college in between, but that was down south, so it doesn't count. But no, so no, and I did agriculture at Oakridge and didn't meet my husband. I met lots of boys.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
Stuart came later on, but yeah, no, it is worth it.
No, absolutely. It's brilliant from that social side as well.
Oh,
You know.
God, yeah, totally, yeah.
That's how
Arguably more than the qualification, and that's me saying that as a lecturer. You know, you meet friends for life. You meet like-minded folk.
Absolutely, yeah.
oh, most
Anyway,
definitely. Yes.
That is not why we're here. If someone wants to bring me in a podcast, I can bore you all those details. No, I appreciate you coming on. Really enjoyed the chat. It's good for it to have finally happened. I think we first made contact with the 5th of August, and it is the 4th of October. So, yeah, 2 months in the making.
Time flies.
It's worth
It
the
does
wait.
indeed.
Oh, I will always
Oh,
worth the
worth the
wait.
Do you mean you were the worth the wait, or the chat was worth the wait?
Bloody hell, we're worth it.
Is it Lenore? Is that what? No, is that...
No. Oh, bless.
Oh, dear.
No.
It is it not?
L'Oreal.
L'Oreal, the shampoo.
Oh, I was close.
They are colourant. I don't know, all these kind of things.
Yeah, Lenore's more for clothes,
Fabric
isn't it?
conditioner.
Mhm.
Which is I'm actually heavily allergic to. So anyway, I'm not worth it. But anyway, really, really enjoyed the chat, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, hope you've enjoyed yourself. Yeah. Good.
Thank you very much.
So if you're listening next week, as I said right at the start, we're heading out to California to speak to the owner of the world's first organic regenerative vineyard. So that was a good chat. Jason Haas, who's in charge, goes through a lot of fantastic things. The fact they integrate alpacas into the regeneration of the grapes. The way he says wine and vine is to die for. I could listen to him do it forever. But if you're into wine, if you're into grapes, if you're into alpacas, or you just want to learn more about food and farming, next week we'll see you for R2Kast number 66 with Jason Haas of Tablas Creek Wine, if you want to buy some, because it is now available in the UK. Tracey, Aylett, appreciate your time, and we shall speak to you later on.
Thank
you very much.
Well, that's it. Another R2Kast finished. Another agricultural mind opened up. And I would just like to say that getting these guests on board, it does take time, and it always has done. But I've now went weekly, and with that comes even more time required. And I would just like to finally thank once more the Scottish Farmer for sponsoring the show and making that much more possible. Please be sure to get in touch if you've any ideas of people you'd like to see on the podcast, or maybe ideas you have for me presenting better, because I definitely do require that. See you in the next one.